This episode is brought to you by No Blink Pictures. Sports, seniors, families, professional headshots, even creative theme sessions. This is where your story gets captured. NoBlinkPictures.com. Welcome back to the We Are Grant County podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Katie. Every episode, we introduce you to people and organizations that are making a real difference right here in our community.
Today's conversation is one that touches nearly every family in one way or another. Whether you've heard the words, you have cancer, cared for someone who has, celebrated as a survivor, or grieved someone you've lost, cancer affects us all.
The good news is that no one has to go through that journey alone. Today, we're joined by Gretchen, Ramstetter, and Jennifer Meininger from the cancer support community of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky.
They're here to talk about the free support they provide throughout Northern Kentucky, including Grant County, and why emotional support, education, and community can be just as important as medical treatment.
So if you know someone who's been impacted by cancer, and chances are you do, we think today's conversation is going to be incredibly valuable.
So Gretchen and Jennifer, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. Gretchen, would you like to tell us what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Gretchen Ramstetter, and I serve as the Vice President of Development and Marketing for Cancer Support Community here in the tri-state area. I oversee fundraising, communications, branding, and anything kind of outbound from the organization to help bring awareness.
And Jennifer, what do you do?
Hi, I'm Jen Meininger. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having us. I am the program manager for Northern Kentucky and Southeast Indiana for Cancer Support Community of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. And I help facilitate programming in Northern Kentucky. I help schedule different events that are happening, and I also work on community engagement with different organizations.
All right, you guys have both told us what you do, but how did you become involved in this line of work?
Yeah, I can go first. Actually, I am a parent of a cancer survivor and did not know of Cancer Support Community during the initial stages of our journey. I was in business development and sales and decided to just kind of shift my focus and use my skills and my gifts to bring awareness to this organization so that no one can ever say that they didn't know when they needed it. And so that brings me a lot of passion and drive is what we're doing. But, I just kind of learned about it after our journey and was so impressed with the work that I just had to get involved. And that was 10 years ago.
10 years flies by pretty quick.
It sure does.
And Jennifer?
My story is actually pretty similar to Gretchen's. I'm also the parent of a child who has survived cancer. And I've been a program manager for the better part of a decade. And when I saw this opportunity, I realized it was an opportunity for me to take the skills that I have professionally and combine them with the passion of mine, which is giving back to community and making sure that everybody has the resources that they need.
So what exactly is a cancer support community?
So Cancer Support Community is a global organization, and we serve as a local affiliate here, delivering free programming to the tri-state area in southwestern Ohio, southeastern Indiana, and northern Kentucky. And we work to uplift and enhance the lives of anyone touched by cancer, including patients, caregivers, loved ones, family, friends, and those who have lost someone to cancer by breaking down barriers to access this care and providing high quality emotional and social support. So in essence, we work to ensure that no one faces cancer alone by building a community around them.
So, like when I hear support, I'm thinking like groups and counseling sessions, things like that. Is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about something different? What does it look like?
Yeah, honestly, it does look like support groups sometimes. We have 5 pillars of work that we deliver. One being, and the heartbeat of that is support groups. We have 18 that run annually concurrently, whether you're a patient or a caregiver diagnosed specific diagnoses, young adult, survivor. We have all of these specific support groups that then are professionally led and offer you collective wisdom, a safe space to be vulnerable, and also understand that the people sitting next to you understand what is happening, that understands your fear and anxiety and isolation. And so as we bring those people together in our support groups, that is one of the key areas that we work. However, emotional and social support also looks like a ton of other things. We provide over 150 free programs a month through the tri-state area. And so along with support groups, we're also doing healthy lifestyle classes like yoga or Tai Chi, strength training or healthy steps, line dancing, cooking for wellness classes. We also do a lot of social activities, bringing people together and having fun, and bringing joy to folks together in a community atmosphere. And then we also offer a lot of robust education that's vetted and evidence-based. The fifth pillar of support that we do, because we do a lot, but we don't do everything, is resources and referrals. So when we're talking with patients and caregivers, understanding their needs, if there's something that we're not providing to meet their needs, we can refer out. We keep our finger on the pulse of our cancer care community. So where we don't offer financial aid or cleaning assistance or transportation to and from treatments, we know other organizations that do, and then we connect those dots. So we do a lot.
I was going to say,
Sounds like it.
pretty expansive because, I mean, it's one of those things, cancer affects every part of that person and that family's life. But when you started talking about events and things like that, it really kind of makes you realize, like, there is life outside of a diagnosis. Not everything has to focus on the sickness itself. And that's something that, I mean, I don't think not knowing those resources were there. I'm thinking back to my mother's own experience with cancer and thinking, oh my gosh, like this would have been something fantastic, like great resources. And I think the main issue was her being in Columbus and I think my father was able to take some advantage of some support systems through their hospital, but never thinking about reaching out myself to something more local. So just had to throw that. I mean, it sounds awesome. That's all I was going to say. It's like the coverage and the wide breadth of what you guys do is pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, our physical footprint goes from Dayton, Ohio down to this region, Grant County, and Pendleton County. And then we also work to west to southeastern Indiana, to the Greendale, Lawrenceburg area, and all the way east to Eastgate, Milford area. So we've got a really expansive physical footprint. So we're delivering 3 in-person programs, but also a lot of what we do is hybrid. So when we do have family members in other regions, they can also log on and take part in similar programming. We've brought families together on some of our virtual social activities where, you know, the caregiver was here locally and the patient was in a different state, and they were able to receive the same emotional and social support together, which was really cool to see. And the main thing that I just want to mention too is that, you know, so many services are directly impacting patients and survivors, and that's so critical. But we also know that caregivers carry more stress and anxiety statistically than the patients themselves, that a considerable amount of the workforce are caregivers caring for others, carrying burden and stress and anxiety. So we want to make sure that those folks also understand that they are supported and that our programs are available to them too.
That's great.
I'm just thinking back to when my grandmother was sick and going through, like, because I was the one taking her to appointments, and, you know, she specifically asked, like, hey, will you do this with me? And, you know, so I was the one always taking her to appointments and always kind of like being the main point of focus. And it gets to that caregiver part of it. Whereas, like, I sought mental health counseling after she passed because I didn't know what other avenue to do. But it still took me months to even get to the point where I admitted that I needed help moving forward. So knowing that you guys are out there and that these types of resources are available from the very beginning all the way through to when somebody may no longer need the services, I just really think that's an amazing thing. And hopefully we can help spread that word for you and get that out there.
Yeah. Just to be any part of being
Yeah.
able to spread that information makes me feel so good.
So who qualifies for these services?
Anyone. Really, statistically speaking, we know that unfortunately, everyone that's taking a breath today has probably been impacted by cancer in some way, whether it was a friend, their own diagnosis, a parent, or a different loved one. And so everyone can join our cancer support community and take part in these free programs. Some of our support groups might be specific diagnoses or specific to patients or caregivers separately, but all of our other programs, we're just bringing together people. We kind of liken it like being in a rowboat out in the middle of an ocean by yourself, in the middle of a storm, and the fear and isolation that would bring. And putting one person in that rowboat to understand that shared journey, it decreases your depression, it decreases your fear and anxiety, it increases feelings of connectedness and hope and joy. And that's literally what our programming is doing for people. And so we're just trying to put people in each other's rowboats, honestly, at the end of the day, and build a community around folks, because until you've experienced cancer, you may not quite understand what someone else is going through. And you can be surrounded by people on a daily basis and still feel isolation from emotional and social lack of support or resources. So we just encourage everyone to just take a look at what we're doing. Everybody's cancer journey is unique and their care should be as well. And so our social workers and program team, we talk through folks' needs and their journey and try and help them navigate through some pain points and also connect them with outside resources as well.
Because I was going to mention that everybody's journey was different, and then you said that, but it's the same for the caregiver. Not every caregiver is in the same situation, and has a different experience as well. So, as far as referrals, how do they, learn about your programs, or do they need a referral to get into your programs?
No, you don't necessarily need a medical referral. One of our largest referring sources is our medical and healthcare community, our doctors and oncologists, our social workers and patient navigators and nurses, the APPs on the ground level there are referring their patients and caregivers to us. But we also are all over the city. You'll see us at all sorts of outreach events. You'll find Jen this summer tabling at a ton of different back to school events and Northern Kentucky outreach events, just grassroots awareness building. I will say our biggest referral piece of the pie is word of mouth, which is why we're so grateful to be here today. We actually survey our participants on a monthly basis with the question of how likely are you to refer CSC to someone else? And we sit at 100%. We're so excited to be able to say that, and that people care and they feel what we're trying to do with our programming, and they go out and they take it to the community and tell others. We do a little bit of marketing and advertising, but we're a nonprofit. We try and put every dollar we can towards the program delivery to serve the patients and caregivers out in the world. But we know that we try and build awareness through all sorts of avenues. There is a referral form on our website for corporate and HR professionals, as well as our medical providers, to be able to give a referral to us. But a lot of people walk in our door or pick up the phone and call us directly, just from whether they're getting our information in a newly diagnosed packet, or someone in the grocery line happened to mention it, or one of us are out there talking because we live and breathe this mission. Anyone can utilize our services. You do not need an official referral, but we would love for you to give us a call and just let us kind of talk you through everything we do. It's a pretty robust menu of programming. And that way we can also help support you in other ways that you may not think we can do.
Now, you had mentioned before several, free programming. Does any of the program require payment, or is it all free?
No, it's all free. So although not everything is without a cost, we do fundraise. This is $1 million operating budget annually, with 74% of that going directly to program delivery, which is a really beautiful percentage comparatively to other nonprofits. And so we're really proud of that. But no payment changes hands. Everything is free. There's no, there's really nothing that would prohibit anybody in taking part with our care. We try and break down every barrier. So there's no financial barrier, right? Hopefully there's no distance or transportation barrier, because we're trying to bring our programs out into the community more, where people are living and working. And so hopefully people can find us and access us as easily as possible. That's the goal.
Coming to the community is a huge benefit, especially for this area, because it's hard for people in this area sometimes to go north where everything is located. So it's nice to know that it's actually coming to the individuals in the community.
I mean, for us, it's basically 30 minutes any direction, north, south. I mean, if you're getting help so many people make that trip north, and it can be such a burden, both financially, transportation. Yeah. So that is great.
And each of you tell us maybe someone who you've worked with that these programs have been life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, I had an opportunity to connect with one of our participants. He's a support group participant and cancer survivor, recently out of treatment and into survivorship. And he had so many powerful words to say about men in particular receiving the support that they need and deserve, and has become just this beautiful advocate for our work out into the community, telling almost every man that he knows about the support and resources the cancer support community provides. Because as we all know, sometimes men have a hard time asking for help or sharing their feelings. And he just shared with me just the beautiful community that he created, the second family that reduced his isolation, because he was able to be his vulnerable self. He talked a lot about how in front of his wife and his family, he felt like he really couldn't break down, that he couldn't be vulnerable, that he still had to have that persona of protection. And so this support group gave him a space for that. And I felt like that was really, really powerful, especially coming from a man.
So it's really great to hear that, even men can acknowledge their own issues with persona, and being able to have a community that's accepting and, and having such great advocates. Because we all know that there's that stigma against men sharing feelings. Well, being connected has to have a positive outcome on the health and survival rates, right? I can only imagine that having connection versus not having connection really affecting overall life quality, etc. And I don't know how you guys feel or have any examples of that.
Yeah, everything we do is rooted in evidence that shows that when you participate in these programs, you have better outcomes. You have strengthened survivorship, better recovery, better communication with your medical teams, providers, and family members, increased feelings of hope and joy, and less isolation, fear, and anxiety. So there's a lot of goodness baked into this type of programming. In fact, if you are an accredited cancer center, you have to provide psychosocial support like Cancer Support Community provides. It is a part of an accredited cancer model. So as a part of the cancer continuum of care, this work is critical, and we encourage everyone just to try it out. maybe a support group isn't perfect for you, but I am certain there is something else that we can do to help enhance your life and uplift your spirits through and beyond. We see folks 30 years into survivorship. I mean, it's not just while you're in active treatment. It's anytime, any day throughout. We appreciate you checking us out. And
Wow, you just explained that so much better.
well, I do.
I mean, that is your job. I get it. But yeah. So, I mean, basically that was, my main point is having support is way better than not having support, whether it's emotional or physical health and, quality of life. So I think we've kind of touched on, and Michelle talked about her own experience as a caregiver. What are some of the things that families and caregivers might not think about needing, or take things that they may not take care of themselves or meet those needs? If that makes sense.
Does. I think that it's really easy when you're in the process of receiving treatment or caring for someone that's receiving treatment to get caught up in doctor's appointments and, checking in with doctors and following up. And it's really easy to get lost in all of that. And it's important. And I think it's sometimes forgotten that it's important to take a break, and that self-care is vital to the caregiver to help them kind of reset and reframe and find a path forward so that they can pick it up the next day and continue focusing on doctor's appointments and blood draws and things like that. It's really nice to see in a lot of our social events in particular, because we serve caregivers as well as patients and survivors, that they're receiving kind of feedback from other caregivers in that setting. And they're able to maybe feel validated or feel supported in different ways that they may not in the real world. If they're operating in their life, especially as perhaps a young adult parent caregiver, they may not have friends or peers in their social networks outside of cancer support community that have experience being a caregiver to a child with cancer. And it's really important that they are able to find a place to connect with other folks who are experiencing something similar.
So it's almost, so you guys are providing the resources and the opportunities. And it seems like you said, these participants are some of the best advertising, or it's like the best word of mouth, like you said, just having those benefits. And then that's awesome. So knowing that it's not just the programming, but the people you meet and that network you can create is really great support. And that's fascinating. I just thought it. I keep going, this is awesome. Because I'm like, and because it makes you think like, oh, these are things that I would have loved to have. And you don't, like we said, caretakers not taking care of themselves, what that looks like. And so being able to speak to others about your experience, just invaluable.
I get asked this question all the time. Yes, No Blink Pictures does way more than just sports. We still capture athletes and game action, but we also photograph senior sessions, tween sessions, and even theme shoots. So whether your kid wants to be a superhero, step into a character, or just have something fun and different, we can make that happen. And if you're on the other end of things, needing family photos or professional headshots, we've got that covered too. At the end of the day, it's about capturing people as they are, in the moments that matter. If you've been thinking about booking, now is a good time. Check out noblinkpictures.com and get your session scheduled.
So many of our listeners are from Grant County. So what are you guys doing here in Grant County already? What is set up?
We are working on building and increasing our programming here in Grant County. Starting with at the beginning of the year, we have a partnership with St. Elizabeth Hospital. So we come down quarterly to the Cancer Center here in Grant County, and we do something called Treat Yourself Monday. It's the first Monday of the month from 11 to 1 at the Grant County Cancer Center. And the dietitians will bring down a little snack. You can try a new treat. I'll bring down bags with resources. We typically cycle through the infusion suite. So I'll bring a goodie bag. We have a little craft that folks can do if they're interested, or they can take it to go with them. So that's one of the ways that we've been reaching families and folks in Grant County. After Treat Yourself Mondays, I head over to the Grant County Public Library and I run a social event. We've done this once. We've got another one coming up in August, and we're there from 1:30 to 3, the first Monday of the month, and we will do typically a craft. We did a painting, an acrylic painting a few months ago back in May, and we're going to be doing watercolor postcards on August 3rd. And it's an opportunity for folks to come together and create something. I mean, the craft itself is usually enjoyable, but really it's about building community in small spaces and creating a space for people to share information about their diagnoses, information about their lives. Sometimes cancer doesn't even come up. The only thing that is binding people together is that they have been affected by cancer, and it's just an opportunity for people to come together.
Now, are you guys also taking part in an event with the Extension Office and Homemakers?
We are. The Extension Office is in the health department is typically a solid community partner for us. They are already in existence in the different communities that we also work in, and they have relationships established with folks that are the residents. And so we have an event coming up August 11th. Don't quote me on the time off the top of my head, but we'll come together and we will. There's going to be a panel with different folks. Panelists have been impacted by cancer, and there will be a tea party involved, and information and resource bags that participants can take with them.
And why do you think it's important to bring the program to the community instead of having the community need to go to the program?
We know that our rural friends have experiences and barriers that prevent them from traveling maybe to Edgewood, which is where I'm typically located. There's transportation, there's, the cost of transportation, having reliable vehicles. Some people don't feel well, so they don't feel like making a commute, 30, 45 minutes to participate. I think at Cancer Support Community, we think it's really important to make sure that everybody that's impacted by cancer feels supported. And if that means that we come to the community to make sure that they have resources and that they feel supported through their cancer journey, I think that that's, a priority for us.
And it would also be nice, like if it's let's say you're doing the event at the public library, and other people in the community can come to the library, and then you get to learn who's local and also is seeking the same support, or you guys are in the same situation or anything like that. Now, we've talked about, coming into the community, and you've got, the event coming up at the library and with the Extension Office. Do they just have to be Grant County residents to participate in that? Let's say they have relatives in Pendleton County as well. And is it something that is only for Grant County? Like if somebody else showed up, would they be able to participate?
Absolutely. Pendleton County is one of our service areas, and we host events in Pendleton County in conjunction with the Kentucky Cancer Center, and then also with the Extension Office in Pendleton County. Owen County is one of our service areas as well. I don't think I've ever been in a position of turning anybody away for participating if they need to participate. So absolutely,
Perfect.
the more the merrier.
So what can people expect if they attend these different events? Because obviously they're different things, and everyone has their place, and they can expect different things. But if it's like a panel, so is it like pre-record or pre-made questions, or is it audience participation? How does the panel work?
Typically, the panels work. They're typically survivors, and so they're sharing their story of survivorship. They're sharing messages of hope and encouragement. They're on the other side of their cancer journey, and they're talking about their experiences. There's always opportunities for audience members to ask questions or get clarification, but the ones that I've attended are, panelists. Good panelists are typically very good storytellers, and so they're weaving a story of their survivorship and inspiration. And it's a good again, you're in the room with people you're hearing people speak who have survived the same thing that you've survived. And so it's just a moment for people to feel supported in a different way.
A shared experience and bonding, and
that's right.
Feeling, because that hopelessness or feeling alone can be, affect your entire life. So knowing that that's there, reaching out, even if it's just listening, I'm sure can have such a positive effect.
Yeah, one of our participants recently told us that hope can look really big and inspiring a lot of times. And then there are other times where it's just simply somebody sitting next to you saying the words, "Me too," friend. And I just thought that was really, really powerful, that there's a lot of collective wisdom that's happening inside of our programming and a lot of just unspoken, even understanding. And I think that immediately gives you just a beautiful foundation for the work that we're doing. So we're so grateful for when people share their stories like that, because it is extremely powerful for our community to hear.
And I mean, you guys are doing so many things. Like the calendar's pretty full.
When you handed me the brochure, I was like, oh no, that's a lot.
If these aren't necessarily in the Grand County community yet, they're still available for everybody. But yoga, cooking, and you've mentioned crafts, meditation, educational workshops of different types, walking clubs, different support groups, social events. Why do you think it's important to have so many different types of programming?
Yeah, part of our entire program model is to create this robust menu of programming, because you glean benefits in different ways from all of this. So when you're participating in a healthy lifestyle class, you are strengthening your body and you are receiving like relaxation or less stress through that activity. A lot of our cooking for wellness and nutrition 101, there's a lot of healthy eating habits that we're doing in those classes, or how to create condiments with low sugar, things that people on a day-to-day basis need, but maybe don't know how to access. A lot of our educational programs are vetted, evidence-based, research-based material. And so people can trust that the information that they're getting is reliable. And then, when we're talking about crafts and fun and social activities, for an example, bingo before COVID, nobody really showed up. And then after COVID, bingo was our most popular social program. It was like people were craving that interaction. And I think that's just carried through, where we talk about having parties, but at the root of that party, there is a purpose. And so you're getting all of these benefits from all these different types of programs. And when you put that together, it's just this beautiful outcome for people. And not everybody's story ends in survivorship, right? There are bereaved in our community. And so we also offer grief support in various different ways as well through those programs, and family support, where we're bringing families together to talk about hard things, but doing it in a way where kids can interact in an age appropriate way. And we can talk about how to talk to kids about cancer with the parents, and just giving people the tools that they need. We're just trying to put tools in people's toolkits, right? And help them live easier and better lives.
So I've got a few little like true and false questions. Just to kind of just to kind of like reiterate for our listeners, and make sure they understand what they can't have, things like that, through your services. So the first one, it's I don't know if you can get it. Are you ready? Do you have to be a patient to participate?
That's definitely false.
Okay.
We provide anybody that's been impacted by cancer is able to participate. We've got survivors, we have current patients, we have caregiver support persons, anybody.
Everything is free.
True.
Caregivers can come.
Absolutely.
Family members can come.
Absolutely.
You can attend virtually.
Yes, some of our programs are hybrid.
You don't need to live in Cincinnati.
That's correct.
Survivors are welcome.
Absolutely.
people who've lost someone can participate.
They certainly.
Awesome.
I was
So-
going to say, so someone like me who's been, 10 years out from losing my mother to ovarian cancer, which I even wore my pin today. Like I said, not having those supports then, maybe even just now, like either knowing that you could be beneficial just sharing your experience, right? So even if I didn't have the supports then, reaching out now, thinking like, oh, that's some things lingering, grief and other things that, you don't, like we said, caretakers or may not think about long-term lasting effects.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I mean, this is trauma, right? So it stays with you. And there is that emotional kind of gunk that you carry through. A lot of times we see people even maybe halfway through their treatment. When you're first diagnosed, everyone comes, right? Everybody's doing a meal train and asking what they can do to help. And we love that. We love that support for people. But we also know that maybe halfway through the treatment, when the plan is set and you're walking the steps, that maybe you take a breath and all of a sudden there's some emotional and mental letdown there where you're dealing with feelings and what does this mean for my life? And so we just say that at any point, whether it's day 1, day 52, whether it's after your loved one has passed or 30 years into survivorship, just check out what we're doing. And we encourage you to become part of our community if it sounds right and it feels right to you.
Absolutely.
it sounds like the opportunities for the community, for people, and like you said, everyone affected. I think of my 4 grandparents, 3 have passed away to cancer. So, just like we said, it affects everyone, and the things you may not think about taking care of yourself. But yeah, I can, and then when you said whether it's day 1 or day 52, because I know there can be fatigue. And so even, feeling that support, in the beginning, so many people just after a while, it can be hard to maintain that level of attention or care. So that's knowing that it sounds like you guys have support for that type of intervention. So it's not just focused on before and after, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Right. We're there with you the entire journey and far beyond.
So as we look ahead, you've already mentioned some of your upcoming events and things like that. What would people need to be watching for? Do you have anything new coming up or any different programming you might be wanting to try?
We have our Northern Kentucky Community Kickback. It is on August 1st from 11 to 1. We will be at Middleton Mills Park. That's in Kenton County. It is Shelter House too. It's a good time. We have bags for the kids. We have crafts. We have games, food, drinks. It's an opportunity for everybody to come together and support and celebrate as a community. So that's one event that we have coming up. I will be at the Grant County St. Elizabeth Cancer Center on August 3rd from 11 to 1 for Treat Yourself Monday. And then I will be over at the Grant County Public Library at 1:30. We have a local artist who is teaching a watercolor class from 1:30 to 3 at the Grant County Public Library on August 3rd. And then we do have the survivorship dinner on August 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Extension office.
Okay. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, learn about your programming, things like that, where would they go?
They can call our main number or they can go to our website and connect that way.
And what is the number?
513-791-4060. And our website is mycancersupportcommunity.org.
Okay. What would you wish every newly diagnosed family would know or should know?
That's a great question. I'll go first. I just remember back to those moments of my daughter's diagnosis, who gratefully is turning 23 this year and getting married. And so she's just our walking miracle. But I remember those times of like that fear and isolation, and honestly, anger and anxiety. And I just want people to know, one, that whatever you're feeling is valid and we understand. I love when I can encourage people to find their community with us, and just know that, we understand that you may not even want to talk about your diagnoses, but we can sit beside you, put our arms around you, figuratively or literally, and just be there for you and your family. So whether it is an interest in support groups or other programming, or simply just to pick up the phone and talk to somebody who understands, we just encourage you to give us a call.
And then, like, what might be something that every caregiver might not ever hear, but they really need to hear it?
I think they might need to hear that they're doing a good job. Wherever they're the person that they're caregiving for, wherever they're at in their journey, wherever the caregiver is in their journey, they're doing their best and they're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
That sounded good. I was like, oh, that would have sounded good, knowing that just being there for them is enough,
Yeah.
Getting rid of any sort of guilt.
Is there one moment maybe that reminds you why you do this?
Like your best example. Like you've already kind of mentioned.
Hard to lose one.
Yeah, I'm sure there's so many in your line of work, especially. I mean, since you do it, every day?
Every day.
I get an opportunity to talk a lot to our participants because we're doing testimonial videos or getting quotes of impact, and just understanding how our program is truly impacting their lives so that we can then go out and tell that story along with the data behind the work that we do. Because when we couple those two things together, that's so powerful. And I remember this woman telling me, Gretchen, doctors saved my life, but CSE saved my soul. And I hold that with me all the time. It is so powerful.
I was going to say that is powerful. Yeah. You keep taking the words out of my mouth.
Because, I mean, like we've said, like the cancer is only one portion of it, right? Like
Right.
There's so many facets of your life. Sometimes we think cancer takes over that entire person's life, right? It's almost, then it becomes an identity, right? Well, you're the cancer patient, right? And like, that's what I was taking from what you were saying. It's so good to know about the other aspects. Right?
So when she says that, what does the community actually look like for someone on a cancer journey?
What does our community look like?
Yes.
Gosh, I guess it looks different for everyone in how they're participating, but what I would say is that, I have the pleasure of working in our Blue Ash location. We're headquartered in northern Cincinnati. We have about 10,000 square feet of building there that we built about 20 years ago to provide this programming. We also have a physical footprint in Edgewood, Kentucky, as well as Dearborn County, Indiana, but we're delivering programs in 65 other locations annually. So you can find us in your community, I hope. And if we're not there, please give us a call and talk to us about what you need. I think that a lot of times it's just honestly this beautiful feeling of hope that resonates through. And again, we know that not everybody's journey ends in the same way, but we do know that while you're with us and while we have our arms around you, that we can provide that sense of support and hope, and hopefully uplift and empower people, enhancing their quality of life and honestly just making them feel better, giving them the feel goods. That's what we're trying to do, is just have people understand that community looks different in every area, right? Community here in Grant County looks very different than it does in northern Cincinnati, and we recognize that. And that's why it's so powerful, the work that Jen's doing down here and expanding our work to make certain that we can break down all of those barriers that we talked about earlier. So, community is literally everything that we do. It's in our name. I say the word probably 100 times a day along with free. It's so incredibly important to also understand that you can engage with us however you're comfortable. And if you can't leave your house, we'll find something that you can do virtually. But we will bring community to you.
Excellent. So because cancer touches so many of our lives, is there, if there's one person that's listening today who's been recently diagnosed or who's had a loved one that was recently diagnosed, what would you want to say directly to them?
I'll go first. I would say get the support that you need and deserve. I think so often, especially parents, caregivers, adults that are managing a lot with work and intergenerational living and all sorts of things, right? We just kind of forget about our own mental wellness and well-being. And I think it's really important to put yourself first sometimes and to make certain that you're making the time and the space to access these types of programs and bring a friend along. It's always more fun with a friend.
Absolutely.
Obviously, since we talked about cancer touching everyone's lives, how can we give back as a community, as an individual who wants to support what seems like awesome work? What is the best way we can help?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question. First and foremost, I would say anything we're talking about today, you can find on our website. And so that's going to be the best resource to go to is mycancersupportcommunity.org. But from a support standpoint, obviously, as a nonprofit, we are always looking for individual, corporate, and foundation partners to help us with either financial or in-kind support. We do a number of special events throughout the year where people can engage in really fun ways to help us further our mission. We are always on the hunt and on the prowl for new volunteers as well, whether that's as an individual or a company or organization volunteering with us as a group. Jen is always looking for Northern Kentucky volunteers and support, specifically in Grant County as well, as we do more expansion down into this area, where people can give of their time or of their talents by hosting a craft or an art class or calling bingo for us or doing an educational panel. There's so many ways that people can get involved with us. And then finally, I would encourage you just to continue sharing the mission. Even if it's somebody who is in the grocery line next to you wearing a survivor shirt, maybe even mentioning like, have you even heard about this resource? It's so incredible. And we just ask that you just share out with others in the community or anybody who might have a propensity or capacity to partner with us. We're also always looking for on the boots kind of organizations that are in the communities where we're looking to deliver programming so that we can collaborate. We can't do this in a silo. It takes an entire community. So we encourage folks to check out what we're doing. We also have an emerging leaders board for young adults, for our YPs or young professionals that might be interested in learning more about how to help support a nonprofit in a bigger way. It is a fantastic group of volunteers that help us with outreach and fundraising and awareness and building our programs that serve our young adults. And so, that's another way that folks can learn more and more involved.
Awesome.
Sounds like a lot of opportunities to spread awareness. It's, even the little things, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so again, we've talked about Grant County because, of course, that we are Grant County is the name. But I remember earlier you saying national organization, correct? So not just here, there's opportunities elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, along with our local affiliate, there are about 50 others across the nation. in the closest cities like Columbus, Indianapolis, and Louisville. But again, from the East Coast to the West Coast, we're available. And so if you have family members or caregivers that live outside of Grant County or this region that need support, I encourage you to check out this mission and share it with them, because I'm certain that there's support in their backyard. And then also, as I mentioned, if you have loved ones that are outside of this area and we're offering hybrid or virtual programs, y'all can log on together and get support together from different cities. So it's a really beautiful gift that we're able to give the community through this mission. But we also know that not all of our family and friends live in our backyards. So we want to make sure that folks know that we are a local affiliate of a national organization. All of our money stays local. We don't feed it up and bring it back down. Everything we do stays local, and we navigate our communities the way that they need. But we do love mentioning that we're a part of this other huge initiative that provides support and care to the entire nation.
So basically being able to coordinate, resources to different areas, even though, not having to turn someone away because they live in, like my family lives in Portland, Oregon. Like they could probably just letting them know about the organization so they could maybe look in their own area to see what opportunities are there too, which is good to know. So Gretchen and Jennifer, thank you both for spending this time with us today. And more importantly, thank you for the work you've been doing every single day to remind people that they don't have to face cancer alone.
So if today's conversation reached you or reminded you of someone in your life, we encourage you to share this episode. You never know who might need these resources.
You can learn more about Cancer Support Community of Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, see their upcoming programs, and connect with their team through Facebook or their website.
And as always, thank you for listening to We Are Grant County. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, watch us on YouTube, and visit the We Are Grant County app to discover more stories, events, businesses, and organizations that are making a difference in our community.
Before we go, a quick thank you to our sponsor, No Blink Pictures, capturing athletes, families, and moments that matter. If you're ready to book your session, check them out today. NoBlinkPictures.com. Thank you for listening to the We Are Grant County podcast. Be sure to check out other episodes and make sure you subscribe so you're always notified when a new episode is available. Stay up to date with all things Grant County by using the We Are Grant County app. And you can find that at wearegrantcounty.com.
ToadTalkMedia.com